right, we just listened to Sleep Token's new album, Take Me Back to Eden. So now we're going to talk about it a little bit. I'll give you my thoughts, some track highlights, and such. We'll go into a deeper discussion with my co-host Jordan over here, and come back around and give you our ratings for our on-the-spot first listen album review. So, as always, a little bit of history with the band. I have been a Sleep Token enjoyer since 2019. When they put out what was that song, the offering I thought was just one of the most unique tracks that I had ever heard, and so it's honestly wild to see how big they've gotten since then. Though they had a pretty instant following back then, and then they put out their second album, I believe it was like 2021, and I actually, as a whole, I liked that album even more than Sundowning because of it was like more consistently heavy. The Sundowning had a lot more of like softer parts in between. The pacing is kind of slow. And then we move on to this album, and so where I was curious as to where they were going to go with it. So, and here we are. I would say it's pretty much on par with the second album in terms of heaviness. It is very consistently. They have a lot of the guitar work in there to keep that motion going. For the majority of the part, there's even, I think, more screams on this. There's not too many of them, but there's Vor. That song has a bunch of screams in it, and then there's a couple in some other places. They kind of sneak in. Which I really appreciate. They're not super focused on. They're kind of layered in a way that's kind of atmospheric. They're kind of like in the back a little bit, but in a way that I do appreciate. So I really do. I really did like that they put those in there. But yeah, I actually really liked this album. I do want to say right off the bat, I do think that there was a little bit of a lull somewhere around the end. Like the right before the last few songs, it was like after Ascensionism, like the Are You Really Okay, to like Rain. That little chunk of songs didn't have a lot of explosive parts, and when I say explosive, I don't mean heavy. The other songs just had a lot more going on, a lot of different layers, a lot of more build-ups and such. But still, I appreciated, all of the stuff that they did in all those songs. And with that said, on top of that, the lyricism is, I think, one of the best parts of this album. Even if some of the music in that part of the lull wasn't super, keeping my attention, the lyrics really were. I think the lyrics in this are great. We read along with the lyrics the entire time. I think the lyricism here is just really great. Very, very poetic stuff, and very relatable too. I really enjoy the lyrics here. But yeah, so I really like Sleep Token's blend of their the different genres that they come into. I've seen a lot of negative comments from a lot of people that say I wish they would stick to one genre, but it's prog. This is what prog is blending, that kind of stuff, especially, blues and jazz is the main portion of prog, but adding in more of it just makes it more prog to me. So, adding in the R&B elements, super R&B, like there's like some trap beats in here. There's like some like almost like rap cadence parts that I really like in two of the songs. Those songs are like connected. There's lots of throwbacks to lyrics in here, and riffs and things like that. There's even throwbacks to past albums, lyricism, the notes on Euclid. The Night Does Not Belong to God. There's like that song is like a whole throwback to that. So it's really cool to see this like full circle. The first song on the first album, the last song on this third one. That is what prog is. That is the definition. And I think this band does it in a very unique way. For me, I think there's just, I think they were way ahead of the game when they were blending in, all the different pop elements with the prog. and with the heavy music. I know a lot of bands do it now, not the prog part, but the R&B and stuff, with metalcore, Bad Omens, stuff like that. But I think this band just does it in such a special way. So let's talk about a little bit of like the technicality, like the production wise. I've always thought that the drums were some of the best parts in Sleep Token. Production wise, the sound is just like immense on the drums. There's a lot of focus on them. I would say they're kind of toned down a little bit from their past couple of albums on here. But I think they're still fucking great tones. I think the technicality of the drum work is here, is just the same as the rest. I fucking love it. You get all the ghost notes, the when the dude's hitting those crash cymbals and shit, like he just fucking smacking the shit out of them and they just pop. Blending the R&B rhythms again, on top of the metal stuff. Just the drum work is fucking great. Guitar work. Guitar work here is, in Sleep Token style, they don't really go super hard technicality, on the guitar. It's more of just kind of a lower tuned kind of thing to just kind of give it that added heaviness edge when they need it. Not too often, but just enough. I think the synth and piano on here is, I think, amazing. Some of my favorite parts on the album too. There's a lot in this album that is my favorite. Like the lyricism, the drums, the synth, all of that is really, really well done, really well crafted. You can tell there's a lot of love in here, and it wasn't made to appease people. It just somehow did. They didn't know they were gonna blow the fuck up when they wrote all this shit. It's not like some other bands that are trying to cater to people. These dudes just made some music together and it just happened to fucking, hit. And so I think they did that. I'll try to wrap it up here. Talk about a couple of track highlights. I have actually, the track highlights is pretty thick on here. You got Granite, has this great, when the synth pops in, they've got this nice like snap that they do throughout the song, and they have this snap and like the synth just like blows in, and it's just like such a great moment that I really appreciated. Aqua Regia, there's a really nice bridge in there where again it's like this short little bridge and just instantly the chorus comes back in again, and they it doesn't feel like it's a build up and it just hits. Vor, that is the heaviest song on the album, with the most screams and everything. Just starts right off the bat with some screams after Aqua Regia, which is a softer song. So I like that balance there. There's also some lyric throwbacks from Vor to it's the summoning. They talk about flesh and bone, and also the screams kind of remind me of Dying Wish a little bit. There's like a little hint of that in there. I really like the scream. I wish they would do it more, but that's just because I like them so much. Hate me all you want. I would wish they would do the screams more, only because they're good. Not because I wish it was heavier. Other than that, let's see. Ascensionism. I thought Ascensionism was another great track. They have another layering of different vocals and synth, and each verse builds up, thins, and it just like gets bigger and bigger as the song goes on, and I really like that. And then it goes into the heavy part again at the end. Another great fucking track. Take Me Back to Eden is kind of a culmination of the rest of the album. I think it would have been it would have been like it's a good ending track, but then again, like I said, Euclid is that throwback to the first song on the first album, so you can't really beat that as a closing track. So I think it works out perfectly. And then, of course, there's Chokehold, Summoning. The whole album is pretty good. Pretty good. I think the whole album is great. I really love it. There's the vocal harmonies, the harmony with the synth. Just everything in this album is really well crafted and put together, and I just really... That's what I'm going to say. Yeah, so I think that's mostly what I want to say. I think there was something else, but I'll think about it. Jordan, what do you think about this album?
I think it doesn't live up to the hype, but it still delivers. I feel like Everyone's really hyping this up to be like the album of the year already. And like, while I think these songs are really, really good, I think as a whole, it didn't live up to like the kind of like grandiose hype that everyone maybe thought it would be. Um, I I think the songs like individually are really, really good, but I feel like as an album whole, it kind of lacked a little bit for me. Um, not it's kind of like a weird thing. I don't know. Like individually, like listening to all the songs, like they kind of all tell a story, and that like there is kind of like a concept going throughout it. Like like I can kind of like pick some bits and pieces here. Like it's kind of I feel like it's maybe like some kind of like Adam and Eve type thing. It's like him and like Eve are kind of like they're kind of created, and they're in the Garden of Eden, and they kind of ascend and stuff, and then they leave Eden, but then like they kind of figure out that it's like it's not not also great, and then they start seeing problems within each other, and I can kind of get that from some of the lyrics, and then like Take Me Back to Eden, it's kind of like on the nose, like take me back to where it all began, and then there's like kind of in the middle, like Are You Really Okay? Like it's kind of like a song about like self-harm and stuff, and it's kind of like, oh well, we're all kind of realizing all the things that aren't so great about the world and ourselves, but uh, I can kind of get that, but um, kind of as a whole, with all the songs, I feel like it doesn't really support kind of like a concept album feeling as a whole. Other than the couple times where they do call back to lyrics and riffs and stuff from other things, but as a whole, I feel like it doesn't really kind of create like a contained story. It feels like, but like, as I said, individually, all the songs are really, really good. I wish they just kind of would have maybe had some kind of other through line, throughout more songs consistently or something to kind of like tie them together. But that's just kind of my nitpick. Like I said, a lot of these songs are like really, really good on their own. They just don't really kind of connect all too much. They do here and there, but not too much. I think my favorite songs were probably, I wouldn't say like the first or second half. I feel like most of my kind of favorite songs are kind of strewn throughout. Um, and I feel like that kind of goes more again with like the whole album as a whole kind of not working for me a little bit. I don't know what it is. It's just uh, I don't know, that kind of like was a thing that was kind of going through my head. Um, technicality wise, like everything is really good. Like the production is probably the best, kind of modern production. Like the drums, like themselves, are just like so present, and like they just pop so much, and like the guitars are just like they're crunchy enough, and like I don't know, everything just sounds perfect as a whole. Um, I think my favorite songs were Ascensionism, Are You Really Okay? Those are really like two good back to back ones, and Vor, those three. Uh, I think the last two songs were really good. I like the way it kind of wrapped up a little bit, especially the last song. I thought that was a really good closing song. Um, I think Chokehold was a really good song, like to start off the album with. It had that really big kind of moment at the end where it kind of breaks into the breakdown thing. After the like actual heavy breakdown, um, and it kind of showcases everything that the album kind of has to offer, without showing off everything. They kind of keep the screams, um, kind of hidden for the most part, and they really kind of like strategically use those at like the really heavy moments whenever they most pop. So, Well, I could say I wish there was more screams in it, um, just to kind of make it a little bit more consistent. I think maybe if there was a little bit more of that, it would have felt, a little bit more cohesive as a whole. Just because, there are so many different sounds that they're kind of doing on this. Um, that whenever there's like different combinations of them, it's kind of like, oh, I'm missing this kind of thing, even though they're kind of going in favor for this kind of sound right now. And I feel like maybe having more of like the screams maybe during like the softer parts would have, like maybe trying to figure out how to fit those in there or something. Maybe would have added like a little bit more of like a through line or something to connect kind of like the songs, more than just thematically. And I feel like maybe that's what it needed, was just kind of like a audio ties to go through it, other than just like that one time where the riff was from like the other album. But otherwise, I think all these songs are really, really good on their own. I don't know why the album just didn't kind of live up to the hype, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was just like I said. I think it was just that maybe that little lull, in those few songs. Like there's still good songs in themselves. The like Apparition. Do you wish that you? God, DYW song. And Rain. I think those three songs were just like a slower kind of portion, and so it kind of, they were still good songs, but I think that was probably the only negative that I would have. But again, it's a prog album. It's fucking over an hour long. There's kind of bound to be moments like that. So I don't know.
It also didn't feel an hour long.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We blazed through this thing, and it's 7:38, and it didn't feel slow. All right. Anything else before ratings?
No, that's pretty much it.
All right. So what would you rate this then?
I'm gonna give it an 8. Like it's a very high 8. It's not quite a 9 or a 10. I feel like maybe just incorporating screams within like the soft parts too, or something like that. Something different, like, because really not a lot of bands really do that at all. So I feel like maybe they could capitalize on that. Kind of bringing the sides, kind of melding the sides together, because they kind of, this band kind of does suffer a little bit from the kind of like, oh well, here's the soft part and here's the heavy part. Like but that's kind of like the prog thing. There's like sections and like, but I feel like maybe mixing everything a little bit more, would be kind of even more groundbreaking.
So I'm having a hard time trying to place it, but I think I know what I'm gonna do. And it'll probably be expected. And I'm not trying to pander to the TikTok community. But I think I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. Like I said, it has that lull, for sure, which is, I think, worth mentioning. But outside of that, I think this album had so many moments, where I was just sitting here and I was like, damn, that is so good, that I think it makes up for it for me. I think, like I said, go ahead.
Just as a whole, I don't think it just works. I think there's a lot of good moments, but like as like a whole cohesive album, it just doesn't feel like it feels more like a collection of songs with some through lines than like a whole album. And kind of, you would kind of expect this band kind of go more kind of high concept with it, I guess, and kind of do like a better kind of, like concept album. I don't know. Maybe they weren't going for a concept album, but I definitely see all the bones of a concept album.
See, I can understand that, like, because they are a concept band. I mean, the whole thing is like has like
Yeah,
this
like it doesn't
dream or
live up to the
something.
whole
Yeah,
like
it is. I do
the
kind of
whole
see
like
that because
image
we
of it.
read
Yeah.
through those lyrics, you know, and they all pretty much felt like love songs. They were a bit, which, to be honest, you know, the whole thing is about worshiping a deity or some shit like that. I don't know all the lore, but you know, like South Park says, if you just take a love song and replace the name of a person or you with Jesus, it's the same song. So it kind of, I get it, like, but yeah, when we're sitting here reading along, it didn't really feel like, you know, they just felt like love songs, which is fine for me. Like I said, I still think the lyricism and everything was real, like extremely well done, very poetic. I don't know, it worked for me. I think it connected. Well, I noticed, I think there were several moments where, you know, throwbacks to other songs and everything. But I do see what you're saying, is they're not feeling like there's a concept. Or
Like, I don't know.
like,
There's just kind of some kind of disconnect between like the lyrics and the themes and like the album as a whole package. Like, I don't know. Like whenever you listen to like the Static Dress album, like it feels like a story. Like it feels like it has a progression. It like all the songs progress, but it doesn't like progress as an album. I don't feel like there's no like really like big standout moment in the album itself. Just like within each song, it has standout albums. I don't know. I guess that's how you can say it.
Yeah, but like you were saying, like I see what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying, because like I said, like for me, the harmonies, like the layering and all that stuff, the melodies that they have, the synth work, the drum work, the lyricism, all those pieces are fucking immaculate for me. But as you said, they are pieces. So, you know, like I said, I get what you're saying. But for me, I think just combined, and like if I listened through this enough time and knew all the words, I think it would be like even more of an experience of just sitting here fucking, you know, singing along. This would be a great fucking album to just, you know, yell along with. I think it works. Like it's like that good of that kind of album, you know. The lyrics are very emotionally
I think
hitting.
I can bump it to a 9. I just don't think it's like a perfect album. It's not a 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, no, it's not a perfect album, but a 10 out of 10
yeah.
doesn't mean it's perfect either. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be, but I respect your 9. Like I said, I understand exactly what you're saying, because it is, all the pieces that I like of here are pieces, but I think they just work up and make up for me. So I'm gonna give it
There's
a
just
10 out of 10.
something missing. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Like
Maybe you got to go back and listen to the other albums, because you don't remember any of their other music, and I just listened to them today, so
yeah.
so I have a way of comparing a lot of, you know, what their other stuff. So having that moment, you know, like Euclid, where it threw back, kind of made it feel a little bit bigger for me. Yeah, 10 out of 10. I thought it was great. Super excited to see this band blow up. It kind of sucks at the same time to see them blow up, because now everybody fucking knows who Sleep Token is, and now, you know, you're kind of normie to be a Sleep Token fan. But yeah, I think it's great, you know, and you know maybe they'll keep implementing more heavy stuff to maybe get other people into that heavier stuff too, you know, the microthal and everything. 9 out of 10 for Jordan, 10 out of 10 for me. Great job, Sleep Token.